Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Got this video here for you guys to see. Pretty interesting, pretty frightening, I think, in a lot of ways too. So let's take a look at that. And
continues to break out across the United States as Donald Trump's regime uses ICE as a militarized force to disappear migrants as well as citizens who are racially profiled, who they suspect are migrants, off the street. Human beings are being ripped out of their homes. They're being ripped out of Home Depot parking lots. They're being ripped out of factories. They're being thrown into concentration camps like Alligator Alcatraz or the Chrome facility in Miami. People are being ripped out of restaurants. People are being taken off the streets if they look a certain way. The militarized ICE forces are raiding swap meets, which are frequented by families, and they are just grabbing people and shouting commands at people and throwing people in vans. It is pure terror on the streets in many areas in the United States right now. Let me show you what went down as ICE was raiding a home of a family that it suspected were migrants. The family didn't want to let ICE in, so ICE brings a gun and they start just banging through the door. This is what's happening in our communities here in the United States. Here, play this clip.
Whoa! Get over there!
Now also family members and Chrome detainees and Chrome employees are calling 911 because of the health of detainees at one of these facilities for migrants. I call them concentration camps because that's what they are. Let me just show you what's going down, and hat tip to Susie Rizzio for posting first. Play this clip.
He has been sick for the past 2 weeks, and now he's been coughing blood. He says that he cannot breathe. He's in a lot of pain, especially in the joint.
Okay, ma'am, hold on a moment.
He barely has breath.
Ma'am, hold on a moment. He's at the Chrome Detention Center?
Yes.
Okay, why didn't he call the nurse to order it for him? No, we don't order it. They need to give
told
us
him that they are not going to call nobody and that they're not going to do anything. They told him like 3 hours ago they were going to call an ambulance in an hour. Then they changed shifts, and then this new person for the new shift, they told him that he's not going to call nobody.
And that call continues with that loved one saying that he feels like he's going to faint, that he can't breathe, and that he is coughing blood. And those are symptoms some of the other callers share, as well as psychosis and detainees being in a catatonic state. And all of these 911 calls are not just from loved ones of detainees, but also from employees inside of the detention center. We did reach out to Chrome Detention Center for comment, but we are still awaiting to hear back.
Now, one of the really horrific signs that we're seeing here in Los Angeles is that there are a lot of pets who are losing their family members, their owners. And these pets, they're not strays. They're roaming the streets right now, because, their families have been evicted. I want you to watch this report from NBC here in Los Angeles. Let's play it.
It was only a matter of time before this started happening. Beloved family pets ending up here at city and county animal shelters. Why? Because the families were deported. The first thing we noticed when Carson animal control officers brought out Bruce the Labrador Retriever mix and Coco the Pug Beagle is that they're a lot quieter than their kennel mates. Both only 2 years old with sweet personalities that suggest this is all new and terrible for them. But they have no choice.
It's very heartbreaking.
And maybe in their own way, they're wondering what happened, says Sergeant Julie Villegas.
They're both very nice, lovable, adoptable pets, but we're here to offer them support and the care that they need.
Bruce and Coco's families have been ordered to leave the country immediately. Federal officers carrying out enforcement actions on them, or sometimes those families self-deporting before the dreaded knock on the door. For a variety of reasons, their dogs simply couldn't go with them. Sergeant Villegas says the children sometimes come here to the shelter for the painful goodbye.
Well, it's a very emotional time. Families are crying and they're having a really hard time letting go.
Letting go of animals they raised from puppyhood or kittenhood, a bond only a pet lover could know.
They're in the general population here.
So now they're here with all the other animals at Carson Animal Care Center and other shelters throughout Southern California, left behind staring at strangers from their steel cages, wondering what happened to the humans they love. The good news is that these animals are available for adoption or fostering in shelters everywhere now. Immigrant deportation now a part of their life stories as they wait for new forever homes. So all you have to do is ask. All of these animals have bios on them that may include a deported family.
Let me show you what's going down as well. And you'll see here, one of the ICE officials draws his gun in this video. And here, a good Samaritan who's watching ICE terrorize communities. He was following one of the ICE vehicles to see what the ICE vehicles were doing. And he was trying to warn people in the community, kind of like what you saw in the first video. Hey, be careful. ICE is coming. ICE is coming. So then ICE acts like they're a police, like they're the police. They pull over the guy. You're like, open up your window. And this guy's like, I'm not opening my window. Here, play this clip.
No. 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 No, I'm not getting out of the car. Not getting out of the car, and I'm not opening the window.
What's going on? You've been following us this whole time?
I sure have. Yeah, because you tried to kidnap some people in my neighborhood. I'm not opening the car. Don't break my window, dude. You don't want to.
Is there a problem? Why are you following us?
I don't want you to kidnap my neighbors, man.
Enforcement.
I don't want you to kidnap my neighbors.
There's a reason why you're following us.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep you from kidnapping my neighbors. I want to warn them if you show up. What's up, guys?
Is there a reason why you're following us?
I'm trying to see where you're going if you're kidnapping my neighbors.
Go ahead and leave.
Go ahead and leave, huh?
Leave.
Why?
Leave. You're blocking traffic. Leave.
I'm blocking traffic?
Leave. Okay. Let's go. Oh, hold on. Hey.
What? No.
Roll down your window.
All right, can you call these guys off?
I'm not ICE.
Can you call these guys off? I'm afraid of these guys.
I'm not ICE.
I get it.
Okay, listen, I'm not ICE. I'm Federal Protective Service.
Okay.
I'm a peace officer in the state of California.
Okay.
Can you roll down your window?
It's down as neat. I can hear you. You can hear me.
What's going on?
I followed these guys out of my neighborhood because they tried to abduct people without showing any identification. And then they pulled me over here and started drawing guns at me.
Okay.
I followed them at a very safe distance. I was not intimidating them whatsoever.
Okay, so, yeah, just stay out of their operations, all right?
I did not interfere with inner operations.
Don't block traffic, okay?
I'm trying not to block traffic. They're the ones who stopped me.
Okay.
Thank you for diffusing this. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
sorry, no, I just pulled in here.
And let me show you here where Marines attack anti-ICE protesters at the Metropolitan Federal Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles. I want you to take a look at this because we shouldn't forget that Donald Trump federalized the National Guards and they put the United States Marines into Los Angeles. And they're just basically standing around federal buildings and harassing people in the community. This is what the Marines, this is the mission that they're running. Basically going to war with people of Los Angeles. Here, play this clip.
You will be arrested. You will be arrested. Get back. You're all get back.
What are you detaining?
Now, one of the things that they don't want people to see is what I'm about to show you. children who are handcuffed, chained, and shackled being moved out of the Los Angeles federal buildings. And where are they being moved to? Here, play this clip.
Fucking Nazis! We can hear you, kids! Fuck you, nice fucking Nazis! Children, we love you. We will not forget you. Shame on you! Shame! Shame on you! Fuck your kids! Children, shame on you! Children will fight for you till our dying breath. Children, you'll never be forgotten. We're here for you, kids! I fucking dare you! Shame on you!
And one of the things that we've learned about those raids on the farms that took place yesterday, a lot of kids were kidnapped by ICE and Donald Trump's militarized forces, his Gestapo, in Ventura County, in Santa Barbara County, in Fresno County, in Riverside County, in Los Angeles County. Here's the report from local CBS News. Let's play it.
Welcome back. We've got some new details for you about last week's immigration raids at a California cannabis farm. Now, we watched as demonstrators clashed with Border Patrol agents. The Department of Homeland Security now says it detained more than 350 people, including some children. Joining me now is immigration attorney Hector Quiroga of the Quiroga Law Office. Hector, you know, the fact that farm workers appear to have been targeted, and this is after Donald Trump went back and forth over if they would be part of his immigration enforcement priority. What does it tell us about who's at risk and what comes next?
Well, the community at large seems to be extremely alarmed. There's federal lawsuits being filed on this for many different reasons, one of them being the ability to have a searches without really the proper orders and looking into this, especially when we have one policy saying they're not going to target precisely farms, and then the reverse of that policy apparently to precisely do that. And so the state of California seems to be responding with a lot of lawsuits and violations of constitutional law and due process, but the effect on the communities is still being felt very much. Lots of fear all around the country, especially in these areas.
One of the other horrific stories that we've been learning about as well, this from CBS News Los Angeles, how this male ICE agent assaulted a woman inside a restaurant's women's bathroom, armed with his government-issued handgun, then violently resisted arrest after Long Beach police arrived at the scene, injuring at least one of the police officers. This guy, Isaiah Hodgson, was released after pleading not guilty to 6 felony and misdemeanor charges while off duty, including assault, resisting arrest, battery on a peace officer, and carrying a concealed firearm. It just so happens he was also the agent who brutally arrested a U.S. citizen last month during a widely publicized ICE raid at a Walmart in Pico Rivera, California. Here, watch this.
The agent is accused of being in a women's restroom inside of the yard house and allegedly pulling out his CBP-issued service weapon inside of that restaurant. Concerned people in there got a manager involved who called 911. According to the Long Beach Police Department and audio that I have listened to, Long Beach police officers arrived after the suspect had left the restaurant and was outside near the patio area. Long Beach police officers attempted to get him to surrender to them. He refused, according to police, and a physical altercation ensued, to the point where police officers had to tase him to be able to finally take him into custody. I want to show you a photo obtained by a source close to known to the investigation here. This is the suspect that we're talking about. This is the Customs and Border Patrol agent. This man now facing several felony charges, including carrying a concealed weapon, battery on a police officer, resisting arrest. The DA's office accuses him of being intoxicated at the time of this ordeal. If this face looks familiar to you, it did to us as well. This person we now know is involved in a Pico Rivera arrest. I showed this mugshot to 20-year-old Adrian, who was arrested in a Walmart parking lot back in June 17th. We'll show you that video. That arrest caught on camera here. There you see that same agent tussling with Adrian Martinez in the Walmart parking lot after federal agents say he tried to get involved and stop an immigration arrest. Originally, U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley accused Adrian of punching a Border Patrol agent. Here you see the photo after the suspect, now in custody or now arrested and charged, sunglasses fell off. This is Adrian and his attorney giving a press conference after this whole ordeal went down. Adrian's charges were then reduced from punching a Border Patrol agent to conspiring to impede Border Patrol operations.
Let me show you the raid in Pico Rivera also, where Isaiah Hodgson attacked the individual. Here, play this clip.
A tense confrontation between Border Patrol agents and a 20-year-old man in Pico Rivera. Adrian Andrew Martinez was on a lunch break working at the nearby Walmart when video shows him standing up to agents who appeared infuriated. Backup arrives and armed agents swarm Adrian, taking him down. His family told KTLA that Adrian was detained after he intervened, allegedly assaulting an agent who was questioning someone else at the shopping center.
They tried to take the janitor or something. That's what I heard. But I heard that he tried defending the janitor they tried taking.
His friend, who did not want to be identified, says he's a U.S. citizen. Soon after, protesters took to the streets, marching from City Hall to the intersection of Washington and Rosemead, demanding ICE out of Pico Rivera.
This is not the country that we live in. This is not what we represent. And we're desperate. They're pushing us to the edge, and we're trying to keep everybody safe and peaceful.
The Trump administration says its, quote, lawful raids will continue throughout greater LA as it ramps up deportations in blue cities, and that agents are targeting criminals.
That's not true. They're getting everybody. They're simply targeting people that are at car washes, that are working, that are selling flowers, that are selling ice creams, etc. It's not just criminals.
Residents in this working class Hispanic community say they will resist the ongoing ICE raids.
We were granted a very special opportunity from our parents, right? My family is immigrants, and stripping other kids from that just feels immorally wrong.
And I just got off the phone with Adrian's mother. She tells me that she has yet to hear from her son at all. She knows that he's in federal custody, but at this hour, she doesn't know where he's being detained.
Share with you this story. Local news coverage. A MAGA dad has changed his mind about supporting Trump after he was denied entry to the U.S. and treated like a criminal by ICE. This is Chris Landry, said he blames the sudden change in his legal status squarely on Trump, the man he supported for president. Asked why his misdemeanor convictions had only become a problem decades later, he said, because of the new administration and their policies. Here, watch this.
I'm a legal resident green card holder. I have been since 1981.
Chris Landry has lived in New Hampshire since he was 3 years old. He has a partner, 5 children, and a job in manufacturing. He was stopped at the border in Holton, Maine on Sunday while returning from a family vacation to Canada.
They pulled me aside and started questioning me about my past convictions in New Hampshire.
3 hours later, the 46-year-old was told he couldn't come home despite having a green card and being a legal U.S. resident. He spoke to us from New Brunswick, Canada.
They denied me re-entry and said, don't come back or we will detain you. And the only way for me to get back in was to see an immigration judge.
In 2004 and 2007, Landry faced charges of marijuana possession and driving with a suspended license, but says he's had no criminal record since. He was given a suspended sentence and paid his fines.
So I never thought that would threaten my status as a resident of the United States.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection telling us in a statement, possessing a green card is a privilege, not a right, and under our nation's laws, our government has the authority to revoke a green card if our laws are broken and abused. Lawful permanent residents presenting at a U.S. port of entry with previous criminal convictions may be subject to mandatory detention and/or may be asked to provide additional documentation to be set up for an immigration hearing.
Just very uncertain for me right now. I might end up spending the rest of my life in Canada, and who knows if I'll ever even have the right to re-enter the United States at this point.
Landry, who lives in Peterborough, New Hampshire, was with 3 of his children when he was stopped at the border. The children will make their way home in the days ahead. Landry says he goes to Canada at least once a year and has never had a problem until now. Why do you think this time it's a problem?
Because of the new administration and their new policies.
As a Canadian citizen, he couldn't vote for president, but he did support Donald Trump.
I was definitely, all for Make America Great Again and having a strong, unified country and a bright future for my 5 American children. But now I feel a little differently.
And finally, I want to show you the Broward County, Florida Sheriff Gregory Toney. Take a look for yourself. And he goes, I ain't supporting what ICE is doing right now. I don't believe in us going after kids and people who are not criminals. I'm not going to use my police officers to do this. Here's what Broward County, Florida Sheriff Greg Toney says. Play it.
Some of the things that other sheriffs in this state has participated in and increasing availability of manpower to execute some of these responsibilities that fall under immigrations, we are not. There has been a submittal of requests. The governor wanted to see all sheriffs participate in this one program, 287G, which was related to the inmate processing components, and we've always been in compliance with that. Then there was a pivot point to have deputies participate in 287G task force, whereas now it's the law enforcement apparatus that is out in the field and increasing the operational tempo for customs, meaning 20 deputies are assigned, let's say in Sarasota, to this particular task force. And those deputies are now basically operating under the will or so the partnership of immigration. I've dedicated the 2 people that's always been there. I've not increased that. We have other priorities in this community that I'm focused on, and immigration is not one of them. Not to dismiss the importance of that, but we have had case after case just a few months ago to speak about why it's important for us as law enforcement practitioners to focus on the criminal components, not administrative components when it comes to immigration. I don't care what country you're from. If you commit a crime in this country or commit a crime in this county, I'm coming for you. But what I refuse to do is take this notion that we need to be knocking on doors or arresting children or going into daycare centers or restaurants and taking and snatching people off these streets who have been paying taxes and contributing to this society in some positive form, regardless if they're a U.S. citizen or not. It's not within our purview. It's not within our responsibility, and I won't participate in it. This is something that has alarmed this community repeatedly, and I've been crystal clear, and I have not wavered in my stance in the last 6 years.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think and hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
I don't see how any of this really is going to just disappear once Trump gets the people he wants deported out of this country deported. I don't think there's an end to this. I really don't. I know I've been saying 20 million, but I don't think 20 million is going to be the end of it. I think it'll go on even after that, if he's still in office. And this is going to turn out to be one of the most deplorable and shameful periods in American history. Okay? I don't care what anybody in MAGA says about that, what I just said, okay? Because if they don't like it, tough. You're just going to have to listen. But our rights are gone, pretty much. I mean, look, a guy comes up to a guy in a vehicle, an ICE agent, and, he starts getting, belligerent with the guy for no goddamn reason. Just how much fucking leeway is our government giving ICE in this situation here? I mean, it seems like if they wanted to shoot you while you were driving, they can do it and get away with it and say, well, we work for Department of Homeland Security and we're doing this for national security. I mean, think about it. I mean, Trump come out and said that these immigrants are invading our country, using the word invading as if we're under attack, okay, which would classify that as a war, right? So if that's the way he's looking at this, then don't the people we're arresting and all that have rights in the Geneva Convention? You know, I mean, just think about that for a minute. And like I said, there's got to be avenues to take here. You know, if people being deported and, you know, without really any trial or anything like that, just so they could have due process, you know. No, they're just being taken right out. And that guy that was trying to get into come back home in the United States, that was from Canada, okay, like he said, never happened before. Okay, yeah, he had a crime on his record, but was that really the point here, or was this just, you know, ICE rattling its sword in an overreach? Okay, I mean, if you're going to go after people that did crimes, then why not go knock on the White House door? Okay, why not, you know, look, his wife, right, she's an immigrant, okay, and she's married to a man that's done crimes. I mean, wouldn't they kind of fit the list of people that ICE is asked to deport out of this country? I mean, right now, at this point, ICE doesn't seem like they're following many standards at all, or any rules at all. They're just doing what they do, and hey, people can bitch after the fact, but it doesn't change what they did. And what I mean is, like with Albrego Garcia, okay, they send him away. Pam Bondi threatens, if he comes back here, we're sending him back, okay, even though they knew it was a mistake. So, in other words, hey, you know, if they're going to give all kinds of credence to ICE to do what they're being asked to do, then, hey, go after Trump, arrest Trump, detain his wife, okay, export them to El Salvador. I mean, it would make just as much sense as all the other people if they claim they've deported under the similar circumstances, right? But of course, you know, the rules apply to thee but not me, you know, and that's the hypocrisy of this whole thing right there. And a lot of people are just seeing this as this continues on. People are seeing it now for what this is all about. This is racial profiling at its worst. These are people grabbing folks off the street, children too, okay, denied any representation, any due process, and simply detained until they're put someplace, you know, in the alligator Auschwitz there, wherever in Florida, okay, or El Salvador, or God only knows where else they got here. But I know there's at least 3 places that they've been sending folks. And this is what they've been doing, and this is why people are just saying this is not right. None of this is right, okay? We've never done this in this country before. Well, I take that back. Yes, we did do this in this country before, okay? When we put Asian Americans in concentration camps during World War II, okay? We have done this before. And apparently we didn't learn anything from that, despite all the, you know, the speeches and stuff that people made about how that's not the right thing to do, okay? Even in a time of war, people deserve their rights in this country. All right, so it's, I stand corrected here. We have done this before in the country. Unfortunately, the problem is we didn't learn anything from it. We all clicked our tongues about it and shook our heads and, you know, said, oh, we'll never do that again. We'll never do that again. And then we do it again. So, you know, in other countries like Germany, who went through this in a terrible way, trying to tell us this is where you're headed, and we're not listening to them, okay? The same fucking thing that was going on in Germany that led them to what they did. Nobody was listening. They thought what they were doing was right. They believed in Hitler. They believed in what he was doing. They followed his lead, okay, until in the end their country was devastated. And then they had to look back on it and figure out what did we do wrong. Okay. Well, that was a lesson I think that the whole world should have learned from, even if the United States was considered the good guy and taking out Hitler. Okay, we needed to look at that and say, why can human beings be this cruel to each other? You know, how do people talk themselves into doing some of the most gruesome things and think that, hey, you know, it's okay because I was ordered to do this? You know, how do people do that to themselves? Because that's what we've done here. That's what MAGA has done. Okay, they talked themselves into supporting Trump, despite all the fucking problems that this man carried with him, his personality problems, his criminal problems, all these things that he carried with him, and yet MAGA still looked at this guy as a solution and not an incoming problem. They didn't see that. And, you know, no matter how they felt about Democrats, okay, when everybody in the Democrat Party was sitting here echoing the same issues about the man, okay, instead of listening, they say, oh, it's a coalition of Democrats all trying to destroy the man. Okay, they run right to the conspiracy theory. Okay, because they can't possibly believe that the things we were saying were true. They couldn't believe it. They say, no. You guys are just creating a monster out of nothing. Really. You can't think people can be that hateful, right? And yet we've seen it time and time again in the world and throughout history that people can indeed be that hateful and even more. You know, humans are capable of anything. You know, that's why I don't think there's a such thing as a devil. I think there is a dark nature to people that exists, and it stays in check because of the way we raised. If we've given strong morals and ethics to follow, and we know what's right and wrong, and we have laws imposed on us to keep us in check, for some of us that keeps the demon at bay, but for others, you know, it's for whatever reason they just thrive on it. And you could see in Trump that's what he does, because he doesn't have any ethics or any morals. All right, I don't care about his damn Bible that he was touting around. Doesn't mean he's anything religious. Okay, he's not. In fact, he might as well have taken a shit on the Bible after what he was doing with it as some kind of a gimmick there to make money. Okay, that was wrong. I mean, I'm not like one of these kind of religious people, but you don't take something that's a religious thing, right, and then do that, desecrate it, because, you know, you figure, oh, I can use that to boost myself in polls and get more votes. Okay, I wouldn't do that even to the Muslim faith, you know, which a lot of people despise around the world, but, you know, I just wouldn't shit on somebody's belief, even if I don't believe it. It's not the right thing to do. You want to start a fight, that's a good way to start one right there. So it's better to just leave people alone with that. But Trump, no ethics, no morals, no nothing. And he just walks right into that without a fucking bit of shame. Okay? And if people saw that and couldn't come to that kind of realization in the way that I just did, then there's something wrong with them. They didn't grow up with those fucking standards put on them. Their parents didn't raise them right. Okay, that they should respect other people's beliefs and stuff and keep your opinions about such things to yourself. You know, they weren't raised in the right way. And Trump certainly wasn't. And I think that's probably a common problem with wealthy people, because they replace faith with money. All right, they think that because they got all kinds of money, they can just walk between the raindrops, okay, and never have to worry about it, okay, because their money will protect them. And so morality and ethics is for poor people and not for the wealthy. That would explain a lot of things, right? That's wrong with this country, especially like with the healthcare industry. Okay, a lot of problems there. And it's people like that that are really wealthy that don't trouble themselves to learn about ethics and things like that. No, they won't do that. And with what's going on in Los Angeles. Isn't there anything that could be considered crimes against humanity there going on? I mean, really, I mean, what we're seeing happening there isn't too far removed from what we've seen happen in small countries that are run by, you know, these wishy-washy governments, okay? You know, oftentimes the UN has to step in to send in, I don't know, peacekeepers or something like that, in order to try to control what's happening. I mean, I understand the United States is the United States. It's not a little nation, and it's got a military and all that. But at some point, the UN's going to have to say, look, you know, the United States is in violation of this, and this human rights. Okay, and you can't be, you can't tell the world that you're a civilized country and at the same time act uncivilized with your own people. You're either one or the other. So, you know, at some point I would think that the UN would be concerned about, you know, where this country is headed, because really, as a superpower that's devolving into this madness, we become a greater and greater danger to the rest of the world. Because we're not just this little country that has a tiny military that can't really do anything to anybody like Iraq back in the day, okay, when Saddam was around. We're not that kind of a country. We are a big country with all the weapons that modern science could have created for us, okay, at our fingertips. And if you got the wrong guy in the White House, like we do right now, and he decides one day, gets up with a hair across his ass, and he says, you know what, I'm going to take out Ukraine. Okay, they're impeding whatever the plans he's got for that region, and we're just going to wipe them off the map. And who's going to stop them? Okay, I mean, you got Pam Bondi, you got Hegseth. Okay, you think those kind of people are going to stand in his way and say, don't do it, Mr. President, you know, you can't do that, you can't just kill all these. You think they're going to bother with that, or you think they're just going to say, yeah, go right ahead. What kind of people do you think they are? Okay, they would happily allow Trump to say, okay, give me the football. And that's the scary part of all this, and that's the thing that has eluded a lot of people around the world about what's happening here, is that it should be as big a concern to them as it is to us, because what are their countries going to be able to do to contain us from spreading our hate and all that around the world? Canada right now should be sweating bullets because of the fact that they border this country. Mexico should be sweating bullets because they border this country. They should be concerned, because with the guy like Trump, who was making threats not that long ago about, oh, let's make Canada the 51st state, okay, and he kept saying words to that effect over and over again, pissing off. Hey, when a guy like that opens his yap, don't take it like he's just bragging or an idle threat, okay? It might be an idle threat today, but that idea is rattling around in that thick head of his, and eventually it's going to become reality. So, yeah, this is not a time, you know, where we should be taking this guy lightly. We've done that already, and this is where we've ended up, because we took him lightly in the past. All right, we ended up with this mess we have on our hands, and I don't know, you know, how much longer, you know, the state of California is going to have to put up with this shit down there. But if I was Governor Newsom, you know, I would be really, really doing things here, try to get things under control in the best way that's, you know, immediate, okay? Because, look, I mean, just for one of those things, all the pets, I mean, Jesus Christ, they're going to have a flood of pets being picked up and sent in cages and stuff like that. I mean, that's sad. All right. If you give a shit at all about your pets, and you would understand where I'm coming from there. That's not fair to them, okay? And it's certainly not fair to the children that are going around in shackles, for Christ's sake. Like, these kids are a threat to them. You know, ICE, thugs, okay? That's what that group looks like to me. A bunch of thugs wearing masks, dressed like trying to look official, and have absolutely no training. You saw how quick that guy went for his gun in that video, okay? That's not training right there. That's just, oh, I'm gonna threaten this motherfucker, you okay? Cops don't even do that. You know, they follow a rule book, or at least they're supposed to, before they reach for that gun. And sometimes they don't go for the gun, they go for the taser first. They try to use a non-lethal thing. But this guy, in that video you saw, he goes right for the fucking gun. Now, what kind of training in this country allows for that? Not even the fucking military would jump right to that. I mean, yeah, when we were in Iraq, you know, we tried to do police efforts there with our military, but our military isn't trained specifically to do police work. Okay, we're there to fight wars. But they had to adjust their tactics a bit while they were there doing this police stuff. They could not just be like what ICE is doing. If we were in Iraq doing what ICE is doing here in this country, okay, things would have really, really exploded over there, I think, you know. And even though they did in a way, it would have been worse, because what ICE is doing here would not be considered safe for them if they were like in a country that we're at war with. Okay, you wouldn't want your troops to escalate things more than they should be. You're trying to garner support. You're trying to show people that you're not the enemy. But ICE has done everything but. Okay, they've made themselves the enemy to every American in this country now because of their tactics. And that was the worst thing they could have done. Tom Homan, of all people, should have known better than that. But like I said, there's no guidelines, there's no training. They just send them out there. Some of these people probably not even trained for anything. Probably no military experience, no police experience. They're just volunteers, maybe, a lot of them. Because, you know, how else are they going to have big numbers of ICE agents to do all this kind of work? They never did before. Now all of a sudden they got armies of them. Okay, clearly they're deputizing or whatever the hell they do, just to say, okay, we'll pay you this. You wear a mask, nobody will be able to, you know, find out who you are, and you can do this job for us. Okay, and they're going to do it, right? People need money all over so everybody can be bought in this country here to turn on your own nation. If you're in debt up to your eyeballs and they offer you a big paycheck if you do this, yeah, a lot of Americans are going to say, yeah, okay, I'll do that. You know, I mean, that's one of the things about the shackles of fucking debt, is that we become victims of our own self, because we desperately are trying to get out of debt, and somebody comes along and offers us a way out of debt. We're going to take it. We're going to take it to be free of it. But look at what cost. Look at what fucking cost. Now these people are the enemy, and if they ever find out who you are, God help you, because we still have people in this country armed to the teeth, you know, and some of them are gangsters, no less, and they will find you, okay? If they have to, they will find you. And so, you know, these guys, I mean, I could see why they want to cover their faces, because they're crossing a lot of lines, a lot of ethical lines, a lot of do's and don'ts when you're trying to police society, things that cops are trained not to do. And when they step outside those restrictions, they get in trouble. They lose their job. They lose their badge. You know what I'm saying? These guys they don't have a badge. They don't, you know, their job is just a contract. You know, and they can't be fired because they need them. You know, they need every one of these fucking people. And so much so that they got to get support from the military, because there ain't enough of them. So they're not going to turn in their own. They're not going to fire their own over anything that they cross, any line they cross. They need these fucking people. But this is where we are now. And I feel, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. I mean, you feel helpless. You know, like what options do we have? What options do we have? Because now when we see somebody on the road who looks like an ICE agent, whether he is or he isn't, okay, our guard is going to start to go up automatically. We're going to start being confrontational. only because we've seen what happens to people who don't, you know, who haven't done anything, and they're detained and deported. Okay, nobody wants to be deported out of this country in that fashion. Nobody wants to end up dropped in a country where we don't know our fucking language, okay, and we're just left there to our own fate. I mean, that's like a death sentence. You know, I feel like that's wrong. You cannot do shit like that in a country like this, that, well, at least a country that used to be of a higher caliber than what we are today. America today is a shitstorm. But we have to get back to where we were and understand that these kind of tactics, no matter how desperate you think things are in this country as far as bad, they don't work. They only create more problems. And Pam Bondi hasn't figured that out yet either. Okay? She thinks, oh, we're working within the law. Okay? No, you're working within Trump. Okay? That ain't the law. You're working what Trump wants you to do. It's not the law. All right? And just because you close the borders and you're taking people out of this country in the way that you're doing it, doesn't mean that our country's safer. In fact, it's more violent now than it ever was, because we got people out on the streets fighting our own goddamn ICE agents and military. Okay? You traded one problem for another. And you're going around bragging, telling people, oh, our country's safer now because we've closed the borders, period, and we're taking people out of this country. Well, in the manner that you're doing it, you're only creating more anger and frustration, and it's going to backfire. So good luck with that, because if you keep doing this and you're not listening to me or other people that are warning you about what's going on, then you're really more stupid than you are smart. Okay? And you're being put to the test here these days, Bondi, because I'll tell you right now, at some point you're going to end up taking the fall for what's happening. Trump's going to throw you under the bus like he's done a lot of other people, and you know, you're going to be out on your ear. So anyway, people, that's it for today. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.